Hello, welcome to another edition of Thursday with Thor. Today what we're going to do is cook pizza, and we're going to put a little spin on it. We are going to cook them in a skillet. What we're going to do is build the dough first, and then while that's rising, then we'll go and we'll build the sauce. It's all homemade. I just want to mention too that if you don't want to take the time to do this, make it from scratch, you can always get that pizza dough that's in the tube, and you can always get pizza sauce that's in a jar or a can. Ingredients: we have flour, and that's 4 1/4 cups of flour that we'll use. Olive oil, we use 2 tablespoons. Got 2 of these. Let's see, salt, we have 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. We use 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, and then water, we have 1 1/2 cups of water. And when you're working with yeast, you don't want too hot because that'll wreck your yeast, or if you use too cold, it won't activate the yeast. So it's kind of like when you wash your hands, that's about the temperature that you want it. Okay, we're dumping flour in. Okay, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. Okay, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. 1 1/2 cups of warm water. Okay, so this is a dough hook, and that works good on this mixer. I'll put this cover on here so the flour doesn't splash around. Just lock it in and then go at a slow speed first initially. Okay, I'm going to take this off. Now that the dough is kind of incorporated, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. There's catching the rest of that flour off of there. Looking pretty good. Now I'll unlock it. Just kind of comes off of that hook. And there you go. So now what we're going to do is take the dough out. We're going to put it in this bowl, and it has to rise for about an hour, hour and a half. So the first thing you want to do is just get some, I like olive oil spray, but just kind of lightly spray the inside of your bowl so it doesn't stick. And then we'll get the dough. Come over here. I also had a little bit of oil on my hand, so kind of what we're going to do is just kind of pull this out of here. Just going to kind of knead it just a little bit to kind of roll it over like this. Okay, and just put it in here. Then what we do is just get some cling wrap and put on there, kind of cover it. This. And now what we want to do is kind of put it in a warm spot. So what I did was I turned the oven on at 200 degrees. And what I'm going to do is to set this right in the middle of the oven on the top. And then just that little bit of warmth will be just what it needs for it to rise. Okay, so while we've got our dough rising, what we're going to do is now make the sauce. And so anyway, what we have, here's the ingredients. We have salt, which was 1/4 teaspoon of that. Olive oil, there's 1 tablespoon of that. And then this is oregano, and this is red wine vinegar, and that's 1 teaspoon for each. And then we have black pepper, and we have minced garlic. If you have fresh garlic, definitely go for that, but that's what we had available today. That's 1/8 of a teaspoon. And then we have diced tomatoes, 1 can. So what we're going to do is combine all these ingredients into the blender, and then we'll blend that up. Okay, so in goes the tomato, diced tomatoes, 1/8 a teaspoon of garlic, 1/8 a teaspoon of pepper, 1 teaspoon of red wine vinegar, 1 teaspoon of oregano seasoning. There's 1 tablespoon of olive oil. There's a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now we'll blend this up. So now our sauce is ready. So next, what we're going to do is get our skillets prepared. I'll show you a real quick tip on that. Kind of I like to prep the skillet. I put a little bit of oil in there. Just take a cotton cloth, and then you just kind of wipe the inside of them, and you can wipe the outside too. But they're going to cook in there, and they get a little bit dry, but it just kind of, it's a nice way to get your cast iron prepared. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to get the pizza dough put all in the skillet, but now what we're going to do is show you, these are just some ingredients that I had prepped ahead of time. We got some black olive, there's some onion, here's some chicken, and there's some ham I cubed up. This is pineapple, and we've got green pepper, red pepper, and orange pepper. And then some of the seasonings you got, there's barbecue sauce, and there's wing sauce too. So you can make whatever you want. That's what's kind of fun about this, making a bunch of different pizzas. Okay, so it's been 1.5 hours, and we'll take the lid off here. And as you can see, this dough is like doubled in size. So that's what we want. So now what we need to do is get the dough out of the pot here. So first what I'm going to do is take some flour, not a whole bunch, it's just enough to kind of put it down on the cover here. I'm going to put a little bit on my hands too when I go in here, but now I just go in and grab this, and it'll kind of, you kind of see how it let down a little bit. Okay, so what we want to do now is we'll take and this dough makes about 4 pizzas. So we're going to just kind of break it in half. And then we'll break this again in half. There we go. So this is 1 pizza dough, and then we'll roll this one out. Preheat our oven to 500 degrees. Okay, so now that we have the dough all rolled out, what we're going to do is carefully pick this up, kind of get it up, and then just kind of pat off any of the extra flour. Then you just put it in the pan. Kind of stretch it out there. Okay, looking good. Perfect. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to put in some of our homemade sauce here, and just take a ladle of that. Now the key thing on this is not to put too much liquid in there. Same thing with your toppings, don't overload it, because that's what makes it soggy. Okay, so I'm going to grab some mozzarella cheese here. Put some of that in. And the nice thing about this dish is that you can, see if you're having a party and you have a few of these skillets, you can just start making pizzas, and as they come due, you pull them out, cut them, put them out, and people can kind of come and get the food as they want to, and it's just a fun social way to have a party. Okay, so there's our chicken. I'm going to add a little bit of onions. I like onions in there. So it's kind of fun. And too, when you're having a party, you know, if you want to get some of your guests in to help make it, that's always kind of a fun thing. Okay. I might throw in just a couple of these green bell peppers. The top. It's good. Then, taking a little bit of this red hot sauce, or buffalo wing sauce. Just put a little bit on the top. Okay, that looks good. Okay, that pie is all ready to go. Okay, so now what we do, we put it on the stove, and you turn the heat on high. And now what's going to happen is we're going to look around the perimeter, and as soon as we see a little bit of steam come up, then we're going to quick pop that off and pop it into the oven. And what that does is it makes a perfect crust. Okay, we just saw some steam now, so we're going to quick pull that off and then put it into the oven. Okay. And now that goes in the oven for 8 to 13 minutes. So we'll set the alarm. Okay, so it's time. I can see it's bubbling a little bit. Pull this out. When you're using these cast iron skillets in the kitchen, you want to make sure that you got ample, because it'll be hot, so make sure you got hot pads. Okay, so what I do here is just kind of take this, just kind of help it out. There you go. Okay, now we'll just slice this. Boy, this smells just like a pizzeria in here. And cut that. Now here, I'll just take that down. Break a piece off. That's a perfect crust. And it comes out like that. If you follow these instructions, it comes out just perfect like that every time. Thanks for watching. See you next Thursday.